Hi everyone, and welcome to day 8. Day 7 was all about gratitude, so hopefully you listed at least 5 things that you're grateful for during the day or when you woke up, and you added an emotional signature to the things that you wrote down so that we can change those neural pathways. But today is day 8 and it's all about sleep. Now I know that some of you might have a chuckle at this and think, well, in my job, I'm always hampered with the amount of sleep that I'm able to access. So what are we even looking at here? Well, I think that's the exact reason why we need to look at it. Because again, your organization probably doesn't really care about your long-term health. And so they're not educating you on the statistics and all the risks that are involved with doing shift work. So hopefully I can just give you a couple of things to maybe think about and maybe implement. I've actually got 5 really powerful tips for you today to help you get more sleep. There's a quote from an author and leading neuroscientist who is the author of Why We Sleep. He says, by routinely sleeping less than 6 or 7 hours per night, we're actually demolishing our immune system and we're more than doubling our risk of cancer. He's also stated in his book that adults 45 years or older who sleep fewer than 6 hours a night are 200% more likely to experience a heart attack or stroke during their lifetime as compared to somebody who's sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. So just think about that for a second. Most of us sacrifice our health to create wealth, and then spend our wealth to regain our health again. Sleep, it's a really tough topic, I know. And of course we can fall into that trap of just saying, well, I just can never have adequate sleep because of my job and all of the limitations that the job puts on my access to sleep. But if you remember in the topic of cause and effect, if we're going to be at the effect side of the equation, like 90% of the population, then we're never going to be able to evolve or grow. So we need to put ourselves back on the cause side of the equation and actually say that we are the ones who chose this job, all right? And as a result, we knew that sleep was always going to be an issue. So let's take ownership on it and we'll move forward and we'll just do the best with what we've got. All right, so now I'm going to give you my top 5 tips to gaining more sleep. And I'm certainly qualified to give some advice on this because I have experienced profound shortages of sleep in the station that I actually work in as a paramedic. But once again, I know that I need to work on this myself rather than put any blame onto any organisation or management or anything like that. So here are my 5 top tips. The first tip is to plan your sleep window. So this is outside of your working hours. Of course, you know, if we're doing a night shift, it's going to be a little bit more difficult during the day to gain some sleep. But if you can prioritize when things come to normality again and you're back in your home and you're not working, if we can set aside a window of 7 to 8 hours, the research shows that this minimizes your risk of cancer and other, heart attacks and other cardiac issues as well. So make sure you put a priority on it. Tip number 2 is to actively put in a wind down preparation to sleeping. So some of the things that I've got listed down here is reducing blue light exposure. So this is like from watching TV and your screens and things like that before you go to sleep. So just in the hour before you go to sleep, just take note that we don't really want to be exposed to a lot of light. We just want to start to wind down. We also need to have a look at our caffeine intake. Personally, if I'm going to sleep at a normal hour, let's just say 9 o'clock at night is normal for me, then I won't have any caffeine up past 3 p.m. And the reason is because coffee has a half-life of about 5.5 hours. So even though you think at 3 p.m. when you're having that coffee that it's not going to affect you later on, it may be affecting you and may be limiting your sleep. Also, any nicotine stimulants as well affect your sleep. Alcohol also affects our ability to access deep REM sleep patterns. So we need to just be mindful of that as well. All right, tip number 3 is get some sun. So natural light and gaining exposure to natural light for at least 30 minutes per day. It actually helps to regulate your sleep patterns. So aim to catch a few rays in the morning, and it really helps with alertness during the day as well. Tip number 4, cut out the late night cardio. So a workout too close to bedtime has been shown to make it really hard for the brain to wind down. So aim to finish exercise 2 to 3 hours before you hit the hay. All right, tip number 5 is all about routine. So your body's internal clock actually follows a specific wake cycle. Going to bed late one night and early the next, it actually throws out your circadian rhythm. So adhering to a daily sleep schedule on your days off can be really beneficial for your overall health and well-being. All right, so that's my top 5 tips. As I've said before, it's really easy for us shift workers to actually fall into the trap of being a victim to circumstance and to external events. But here's where I want you to stick with this. Remember what side of the equation we're on. We're on self-empowerment side. We're not on being a victim of our circumstance. So I know that you've come a long way on this journey so far, but I really want to instill those habits. So your activity for today and for the next couple of weeks is to actually have a sleep log and to write down roughly how many hours of sleep you're having each night. So just keep it next to your bed, your journal, and just when you wake up, just do a quick calculation of how many hours you've had of sleep, jot it down, and over a 2-week period, it's a great idea to add that up, because then we've got like a reasonable sample size and you can start to get a little bit of awareness as to where you are in terms of the spectrum of, are you in more of a risk category or are you in a safe category? So we want to aim for that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me once again, and I'll see you at day 9. Cheers.